Kingy, I want to do things just slightly differently this morning because every man and their dog has tried to preview these two games for the last 3 days. I
Yep.
just want some quick fire questions back and forth. I was watching First
Righto.
Crack preview last night. I know that you're all over this situation, so I just think we'll start with the game tonight. So in terms of the changes there, we know that not a whole lot. Emergency Reece Stanley for the Cats. Will he play or not?
I feel like he will. I feel like Chris has got a classic late change in him. I don't know whether Jai Clark is the one that's most vulnerable, but I do think he likes the idea of Blitzarves as a magnet he can move anywhere. So where there's a problem, he's your man. So if Newcomb does get out of control, I can see him putting the bigger body against John Newcomb. If he's to do that, you need to have Stanley to do the ruck. So that would be one reason why. Outside of that, do you think he's a chance or not?
I think he's a chance. Yeah, I mean, as you said last night, who knows? Well, we've got no idea, but they've got the flexibility to be able to do that. You're right. I mean, Blitzarves in the ruck was huge, but Lloyd Meek's a big man. He's
Do you want runners? Do you want runners or do you want big bodies?
Well, they got runners.
I guess that's a question.
Yeah, they've got runners everywhere, so that they will fancy themselves to run, I think. But Hawthorn can certainly match them in the running stakes. But Geelong have this year run teams off their feet. They've got athletes everywhere, players that can genuinely cover the ground with speed. All right, so I know you were speaking about Dempsey and the possibility of Weddle. You don't think that will be the matchup as much as I think we all want it to be?
I think Dempsey, he's such a unique player. Like his ability to get forward, and then because their half forwards play so high, he doesn't necessarily have to defend on the way back. Look, if he can, he's a terrific runner, and I'm sure that the coach asks him to apply himself defensively, but he gives so much offensively. I think he hits the goal square so regularly. If you do play a Weddle on him, I think Weddle will spend most of his day running back to the defensive goal square. You need to get more out of that player than just that role. So I don't think he'll do that, but I understand the logic.
Yeah, the logic makes sense because, I mean, they match up so well against each other in terms of the athlete, and Weddle can test him the other way. I think your point was, well, Geelong will just get someone else to cover for Weddle if he goes the other way, and then Dempsey's still all on his own, which makes a bit of sense to me. What do they do with Newcomb? There's a bit of talk about, is it going to be Atkins? Is it going to be Mullen? It could be O'Connor. It was Atkins last time. You showed some vision on that last night. Which way do you think they'll go with the hottest finals player that we've got right now?
Yeah, well, Joey was thinking Atkins, which has some merit. He played on him last time. Last time they played, and this is the beauty of Geelong, is I think Chris Scott has played the long game all year. And the man management game, he's just the best in the comp at it. So Dangerfield hardly went in for centre bounces all year, really. Played forward, that power forward role, and we're saying, gee, what a wild card he is inside 50. The final start, and as soon as the final start, he's in. In you go, separate the game, start of quarters. And he pretty much starts every quarter of the last 3 finals campaigns in at centre bounce. Now, he could go head-to-head with Newcomb at the start. And say, okay, we're going to go with Holmes, Atkins, and Dangerfield. And what price do you put, or what value do you put on winning possession early? Winning clearance, not negating, actually winning the football. And I think that's the way Chris is going to go. I know that we all talk about the tags and does O'Connor go to Newcomb and that. I think he'll do it after the bounce. I think you have to have Dangerfield playing that aggressive, carefree football.
If there's one vulnerability for the Hawks for me, it's what contest you're going to get out of Lewis and Chol. So my boy Marbiol, we've had good laughs. Well, he just has to compete. He has to compete. There's at times where he looks like he doesn't, and I mean that may be unfair because I think he still runs at speed and gives genuine effort. But if it's Stewart in the air and he's got to crash it, is he going to be prepared to do that tonight? And the follow-up work and is the body language going to be good? And Mitch Lewis isn't in great form either. So they're going to go with, we know about Gunston, but you think Henry can probably take care of him, certainly better than Mark Kane did last week. So they're going to have to get something more out of Lewis and Marbiol. Now, Marbiol's second ruck work is really, really strong, and I thought he torched Thilthorpe last week in that space. So he'll get his opportunities around the footy there. But when he's in the forward line, he can't have Guthrie, can't have Henry, can't have DeConing and Stewart marking the footy, which they are so good. O'Sullivan's the other one. They can all intercept, mark the ball. So Hawthorn's tall forwards tonight have to compete seriously hard if they want to bring this footy to a contest at ground level that allows the smalls to go to work there.
If Gunston doesn't hit the scoreboard, where do the goals go? I mean, he'll be all on watching early to see how he's moving. I mean, I know he's missed a lot of training. He had the scans on the hamstring. You don't scan something you don't think there's a massive issue with. So that always worries me. You're always going to play a guy of that in that format who's at that level at the moment, like Jack. Yeah. If he's 80%, you're playing him, Cornsey. So I'll be watching him for the first 10 minutes just to see where he's at. Can he move? Can he function like he has over the previous few weeks?
So McDonald, Watson, Moore, they're going to have to be dangerous, and they're going to have to kick their ones and twos, and they're probably going to have to get a little bit out of their midfield as well. Is there anything else, Barris, you worried about?
Well, I just know what Chris is like, and if he sees a vulnerability, he'll start with a small little crack, and he'll just drive a wedge in and make it a canyon. I don't think Tom Barrass will be able to just play behind the ball inside defensive 50 where he's comfortable, where he cuts angles, where he's unbeatable, really. He's just a strong presence. He reads the game so well in flight. They'll try and take him to the wing as often as they possibly can. And everyone just says, but they'll hand over. They'll give that. They'll hand over with Sicily, or they'll hand over with whoever. And I say, well, they won't really, because Neil's a big boy. He'll outmark that next level of player, or that next size of player. So Tom's going to have to go with him. Now, he's an elite runner, Neil. He'll get him on the way back. That's one area where I think there is an exposed flaw. And let's make no mistake, Chris Scott doesn't miss a thing.
So I get the feeling you like Geelong?
I've liked Geelong for a long while, and you're going to say I hate Hawthorn. It's not the case at all. But when we get to this stage of the year, I like to be able to pick my top 23 players on the list, and I like to have had the week off. They've pretty much been unimpacted for the last 6 weeks.
They're in a good spot. No team has been in a better spot, so it's going to take something extraordinary for Hawthorn to come from 8th and get on the road a couple of times, get back to the MCG and take on a fresh Geelong. It'll be one of the great wins if they get up tonight.
If you could choose one player for the Hawks to be BOG to get them over the line, who would you choose? I think Dylan Moore is such an important player. Whatever he does seems to go on the scoreboard. He's a great connector. And I think he's one that, if you're worried about Watson, they're going to lock away Watson with Mullen. And if Moore's the one that can get off the chain, and O'Connor's always there to put the clamps on, I think Dylan Moore holds the key for me in the forward half.
Yeah, and I reckon he's just been a fraction off the last couple of weeks. For me, it would be a Ward or a Warple or a Nash, because
Ward was good last week, wasn't he?
Yeah, they were really good, 30 plus, and I thought Warple was strong too. So I think that level underneath Newcombe is where I think they're vulnerable. That's why they were so impressive last week against Adelaide. All right, that is the first of the prelims for Toolkit Depot's Big Brand Sale. It's on now. Get big deals on big tool brands. Collingwood and Brisbane, they've made the one change, the Pies. As expected, Jeremy Howe comes back in. Will Parker has been omitted. So
Jeremy Howe's interesting, isn't he?
It's a risk. It's one of the great risks.
He's played twice since July 11. That's 10 weeks. And in those two games, he's played 3 minutes of round 21. 3 minutes of round 21 and 38 minutes of round 25. Or round 24 against Melbourne. So that's not a lot of footy in 10 weeks. I mean, there's some players you take the risk on and some you don't bother. He clearly is such a great organiser. He's a beautiful ball user. He'll be needed to organise that back six as much as impact as a back six member, but gee, it's a risk.
Huge risk. So their emergencies: McStay, Parker, and Will Hoskin Elliott. So we'll wait and see the selected sides as always. Did they do anything with Harris Andrews? Do you think we famously put Billy Frampton to him in a grand final in a negating role? They won't do that tonight because they need Billy at the other end. But do they just let him patrol? Because I think he is the key for Brisbane on tomorrow's game.
Yeah, and Chris Fagan used him really well last time. Every time Collingwood pointed long down the line, it was Harris that would impact, and that will happen again. There's no doubting that. Harris won't allow himself to be tagged. I think they understand that they don't have the Payne key position defender down there, and Darcy Gardner needs help. So Harris Andrews will have to be everything for them again tonight. He's the most important line out there tonight.
Yep.
Everyone will want to talk about tomorrow. Everyone will want to talk about Bailey and what's Rayner going to do and what's happening with the Ashcroft boys and McCluggage. But the number one man for Collingwood to deny is Harris Andrews.
Yep. Nick Dacos, do they do anything with him? Is it Dunkley at stoppage and sort of more of a team aspect across the ground? The Thursday night game they played in Brisbane earlier on in the year, Dacos ran right. They tried to expose him the other way, I thought, and get off him. That didn't work. It was disaster. They put Berry to him after half time. Who starts there? And
what would you do?
I'd probably just take as much gas out of him as I possibly can, and that would be Dunkley. So every time there's a stoppage, Dunkley's on him. He's a huge body, which does take some petrol tickets out of Nick. Then when he's off the ball, every time he runs past you, whack into him, knock him. Don't let him get the easy ones around the back to get him going. That will take a team aspect. But Dunkley's the one that can reliably go to him at stoppage and not let him get a hold of you from there and get his game going. So that's what I would do. Understand it's not the ideal matchup, but I don't think there is an ideal matchup for Brisbane in their lineup.
He's a crowd puller. So when he gets the footy, he can draw a crowd coming in. They all panic about Nick. So 3 and 4 players will converge, and then he gets that through ball and to lesser ranked players on the outside in clear air that can really get aggressive. I think that's the biggest challenge, not being all drawn into Nick. Just trust that Dunkley can get it done or Berry can get it done. And you know what? If he beats him, so be it. Don't give that next level of possession that's inside to out, the game becomes easier. That's the challenge for me. You can't stop Nick. No. You really can't.
I think the wing role's important in that as well, like the position of them at stoppage. So whether that's Bailey, depending on his midfield and forward minutes, whether that's Berry, to have that protection through the front of the stoppage to not allow him to come out the front and guard up and sort of congest that space around the stoppage for Nick. Logan Morris got a hold of them last time, so a lot of pressure on a 20-year-old, isn't it? Because if it's not him, there's not much from a key position point of view.
Well, Gallup looked really good for that. Yeah, since he kicked his first goal last week, he actually lit up. I think he realised that he's out, he can play. And sometimes you just need a moment. The ones that I think are wild cards are guys like Jasper Fletcher, who's playing some pretty good footy. Yep. Probably needs a little bit more responsibility. And I'm in love with Darcy Wilmot as a player. I think this is a guy that every club should be targeting. Let's be honest, I think he's the next big deal up there in terms of getting a midfield opportunity. But he's almost bulletproof as a halfback flanker at the moment. Can they get through? The game will be won and lost by Brisbane's ability to hit those corridor kicks. If they hit them, they'll get through and score. If they can intercept or interrupt the Pies, they'll have some fun back the other way.
And they've got the ideal model. I mean, Geelong kicked 60-something off turnover in that first week of finals using that exact model. So Collingwood no doubt would have studied that. What did they do? Well, let's try and replicate that. Their defence is really sound and you struggle to score against Collingwood. So we will wait and see on that one. If you could pick a Collingwood player other than Nick to have a best on-ground performance, would it be De Goey?
No, I'm going to stick. Well, everyone will talk about De Goey, but I think it's still Sidebottom. I think he's been so important when he impacts games. They look a different lineup. We always talk about those midfielders, but one more on the edge that centre forward, and I think Steele's been terrific in the back half of this season. Let's see if he can do it again.
Time now for In the Gun. Yes, that's a good reminder. Last week you had a couple of big ruckmen in the gun. How'd they go?
Well, how'd they go? How do you think they went?
Pretty well.
Big McInerney and Darcy Ford got the job done, didn't they? They were terrific. And I'm now leaning toward... You went to Josh Rochelle.
Well...
He was okay, wasn't
he? Yeah, no, he did his job as a sub. He carried on like an absolute tool pre-game.
You're allowed to be a tool if you back it up.
Well, I'm not sure they did.
Yeah,
not sure the team
I thought
did.
he was okay. I thought he was all right.
He was fine.
I'm putting... So I like the fact that you shop in the off-season and no matter what you've spent, all performances come home to roost in prelims. And I look back in the Tom Boyd discussion with the Dogs. They paid the big dollars, and in the grand final, he delivered. And I'm looking at Dan Houston, who's had a poor to average year. All will be forgiven if tonight he can stamp a performance that gets his boys over the line. Tomorrow night gets these boys over the line. He's been okay the last 3 weeks, starting to get his hands on the ball, getting that around the 20 disposals. But he's just not the same player that we've seen over the last couple of years. But if he can deliver on the biggest stage, prelim final, game on the line, I think that he can win the fans back. Not that he's lost the Collingwood fans, but we want a performance. I want Dan Houston to stand up and be the reason, or a major part of the reason, the Pies get the job done.
I like this. I like this,
Dan.
and I'm jealous of it. In the Gun is for Grays.com, Australia's leading online auction marketplace. Of a similar note, but different. Bailey Smith has had a huge year, but he's had a tough couple of weeks, or a tough week. Now, this in the past has not affected his performance at all. But if he runs right on the MCG tonight, what he will do to the crowd, to the atmosphere, to his teammates, to alleviate any of the concerns around what has been going on off the field this year, then all will be forgiven. If he gets a couple early and they go directly to the opposition, you go, which can happen. So I just think the importance of Bailey Smith on this Geelong side for everything that he has brought and what he delivers for the crowd and all of that and the atmosphere for it, and just his genuine running power and damage. For me, if he has a big night, they win. So Bailey, it might be tough on you, but I think you probably owe them just slightly tonight on the field with everything else that's been going on, the support they've given you.
Could be.
In the Gun.
Good one. Like it. Good talking point too, because he could be the best recruit ever. He could win the Brownlow and the Premiership in his first year. Mm-hmm. And you go, what? How did this happen?
For pick 17.
For pick 17?
Yeah. He's had a huge year.
How's it got to this?
Yeah, and whenever anything has been controversial, he's just come out and performed. So I suspect he will do that again tonight, but a big night for him. Grays.com, Australia's leading online auction marketplace. It's easy to buy and sell with Grays. If you need to put someone in the gun, let us know. A lot of text coming through again.
Oh, yeah. I want to get later on. I want to ask your thoughts and those of the listeners. Who do you think will be best on ground in these games? Because they're generally the same players, aren't they? They generally come from the same bracket of
same pool,
same pool. So definitely. it's like if it's not Dagos, it's Ashcroft. If it's not, it's been Lockie Neal. It's been Rayner and McCluggage and these guys. It's come from the same 6 to 8 players. So no doubt in finals, it's about what your stars do, your top 6 players. I'm looking forward to that chat later on.
Are you ready to launch? Are you?
Well, just reading an article this morning in the Herald Sun by Michael Warner, David Barham's tirade towards Ted Fordham, a premiership hero, way back when. He's basically saying, why don't you go and find and support another effing football club? I mean, that is... The PR disaster that is happening at Essendon just continues.
Do you think those conversations? I'm just going to play devil's advocate. Do you think those conversations
would happen?
You always play devil's advocate. I don't know.
Jeez, you've been bored.
I don't know David Barham from a bar of soap. I would not even know. But the headline is strong, absolutely, and it reads poorly, shockingly. But do you think those conversations would happen between clubs and supporters or past players from time to time? Like that conversation has happened to me. Well, you go support another club. Like I'm sure, and has that not happened to you before at North when you've been critical? No, never.
No.
Right.
No, never, and never from a president, never from someone high level like that. I just think there's so many cracks appearing. This is going to be fascinating how this finishes, and whether Merritt tells his story or he doesn't, and what does he tell? Because he's been pushed to the absolute limit. Does he open right up?
And he's not culpable at all?
No, all those things. No, he's
no
culpable.
Blame at all on Merritt?
No one's saying he's without blame, but this is what we're talking about. The fallout is all that we're looking for now. I'm fascinated with how this is going to finish up and how it's going to leave those that are in high level positions at Essendon right now.
How do you feel about the captain of North wanting a trade?
I've always said the same thing. If they want to go, let them go. No problem. I've got no problem with them going. Even Zach Merritt, we had the same discussion last week. The player movement for me is now a major part of the code, and it's harder now to hang on to your players and satisfy your players because times are different.
So, you would be happy for North to let the skipper go?
Well,
Or
if he wants more,
should they put a hard, like I think Essendon should be hard line with Merritt. Do you think North should do the same, or do you think they should try and get as best as they can? Because, I mean, they're going to have to pay some of his way. He's not...
why would they pay some of his wage?
Because he's not $1 million player, which is what he gets paid.
But they've signed him for that.
Yeah.
They're happy to pay it, and they're happy to get the services of the player. If he wants to leave for further opportunities, why would they pay any money? Why would they pay any money? You want to go play midfield? You know what? You might play at this club, and they might want to pay you $400,000 a year less. That's on you. You want to play midfield? Go and do it. But you can't expect the Kangaroos to subsidise that.
So you disappointed by him or not? You're okay with it?
I'm disappointed that he's come to that decision, absolutely. But I just don't think that he's going to get a midfield role in front of some of the names now. I mean, Wardlaw is taking precedence over him. LDU's taking precedence over him. Sheasel every day of the week. So if that's the discussion, well, you shake hands and say, you know what, thanks.
Is there a club that he suits? So I think he works at Adelaide, Simpkin.
Does he?
Yeah, I think so. I think he butchers the ball a bit too much and doesn't impact enough consistently, but I think Adelaide could use his service. I mean, he's clearly going to play in front of Berry, Soligo, and others. Yeah,
well, it's going to be interesting to see which club's looking to satisfy him for more midfield minutes. I mean, if he's played midfield,
well, he's not
with
a half
Kangaroos,
forward though. He's not. If he's not playing midfield, I'm not sure he's playing at a decent side. That's the problem for him. So if it's not he's not a high half forward. He's not an elite finisher at all. Like as I said, he butchers the footy. So he's not.
So who's got it right, the Kangas or the player?
Well, the Kangas got it wrong for signing him till 2029 on a huge salary.
They were happy to do that. They're happy to satisfy.
They got that wrong.
They're happy to satisfy. You can still get value out of the player. They're not unhappy with the player. They just want to play him in a role that suits them. Why are they unhappy?
Because they've given him a huge contract to be a...
But they're happy to do that. They're happy to do that. They're paying him as captain. They're rewarding his service. He's chosen to do something different. That's not on them.
I wouldn't have signed him for that. Clearly.
No, but that's you wouldn't sign anyone for any money. But the discussion's not have they made an error in signing him. They've done what they've respected the captaincy. They've respected him as a player. I think this is on him.
Yep. I'm not arguing that. Stephen May, you're a yes?
Well, I wonder where he suits. What club could possibly invest in Stephen May? Now, I throw up the Dogs straight away because I think that they are desperate for something down back. And the Dog supporters come back and say, no, culturally not what we want, and have seen signs of him slowing up, which is clear and obvious for all of us to see. But I still think he's got something to give. Do we have another option? How many options are out there? What sort of clubs could look for Stephen May?
Would you have him at North?
No, I think they've got some youngsters that they are still exploring that they need to see that have been injured over the last 12 to 24 months. So probably not.
Has to be a contender, do you think?
Well, he's only got 1 year, maybe two left, hasn't he? Say he's got 2 good years of footy left in him. You want to be Brian Lake style,
Carlton,
being the difference.
Could he spend a year at Carlton? You lose Silvani. I mean, they have topped up with Nick Haynes and players like that, but could you see him supporting Wiedering?
Yeah, that's a good call. I mean, he could be Jackson Payne style deep fullback and allow Wiedering to just take over the game. I like that discussion.
I think he's washed up. Just want to put that up.
And he may well be.
I wouldn't go there, but is it worth a risk? Not going to cost you a whole lot at all. Certainly won't cost you a pick. You'll get him for free. Is it worth that risk with everything that comes with Stephen May? Again, can you get him physically right? You'd want to have a pretty good medical and a pretty stern conversation with him on how motivated he is to get himself back to a level that can play.
Isn't it funny, the discussion though, right? So as soon as I put this up on Twitter yesterday or the day before, whenever it was, the first thing that comes back is the cultural discussion. Now, if you're culturally not strong enough to handle a big personality like this, you're not winning flags anyway. You're not. You're kidding yourself. If your leadership group cannot contain someone or manage them or work with them, like Geelong just work with the player. Like Bailey Smith has caused more issues than most players this year, but they just work with it.
Provided your on-field performance can back that up.
Yeah. So I think but you've got to give it a chance, don't you?
You're willing to live with Bailey because of what he brings on-field. I mean, if he's playing like Stephen May, I think your patience would wear pretty thin with Bailey Smith. So I mean, there was no issues with Stephen May when he was playing well. Everyone sort of puts up with the stuff around it as much as it's a distraction from time to time, but he plays and he plays well. Now it's a different story. When you're a liability on field and off field, then it's a different discussion.
Yeah, there's always a level of performance that has to match that, always. So just put that to the side for a moment. You can't not select the player because you don't think your group's strong enough. I mean, that's a concession that needs to be addressed immediately.